I never imagined the day I'd wake up to a nightmare that would shatter my world 2 months before my wedding. I was a believer in loyalty, trust, and the unbreakable bond of family. But nothing prepared me for the moment I caught my own brother and fiancé tangled in my bed, a betrayal so raw it burned into my memory like acid. I still remember the way the early morning light spilled across the sheets, illuminating a scene that turned my entire life upside down. I had always trusted my family implicitly. My brother, Daniel, was my role model growing up, and my fiancée, Sarah, was the love I thought I'd cherish forever. We were all planning a perfect wedding, a celebration of love, unity, and the promise of a future together. Until that fateful morning, I'd never doubted that anything could go wrong. But that morning shattered every illusion I had clung to. It started as an ordinary day. I woke up in our shared guest room at the family home, planning to surprise Sarah with breakfast in bed. The sound of soft rustling from the adjoining room caught my attention, and curiosity pushed me toward the door. I pushed it open slowly, expecting to see Sarah still asleep. Instead, I found a sight so surreal and searing that my heart nearly stopped. There, in my bed, was Sarah, undressing, her eyes wide with panic, alongside Daniel, her body betraying every secret of passion and deceit. For a moment, time slowed. I stood there, frozen, my mind reeling as disbelief and anger surged in equal measure. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the scene, every detail searing itself into my memory. The intimacy they shared was like a poison, infecting every trust I had ever placed in them. My throat constricted, and a bitter taste of betrayal spread through my body. I didn't scream. I didn't confront them in that moment. I simply backed away, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the silent corridor as I fled the room, carrying with me the weight of a truth too heavy to bear. The days that followed were a torturous haze of shock and numbness. I spent countless hours replaying that moment in my head, analyzing every gesture, every whispered word. My mind was a battlefield, torn between anger, despair, and the sting of humiliation. I had been blindsided by those I trusted the most, and I felt a loneliness that no one could ever understand. But amidst the chaos of emotions, one thing crystallized in my mind. I would never forgive them. In the ensuing weeks, I discovered the full extent of the betrayal. Sarah revealed that she was pregnant, a secret she had carried not just for herself but with Daniel as well. Somehow, after our fateful encounter, Sarah and Daniel rushed into marriage. They left me behind as I remained entangled in the shards of our broken promises. I was supposed to be the one celebrating love and commitment, but instead, I became an unwilling keeper of their secret and their guilt. To add insult to injury, my parents, in their infinite wisdom, or maybe ignorance, expected me to support Sarah through her pregnancy. They saw it as a family duty, a chance to keep the family together, even as it crumbled before my eyes. My initial shock had morphed into a cold, calculated resolve. I wasn't going to be the martyr in their twisted drama. I needed to reclaim my life, to exact a revenge that would be both satisfying and unyielding. The plan wasn't impulsive. It was meticulously crafted over weeks of quiet planning and careful observation. I needed every detail to align perfectly, ensuring that my retribution was both fair and brutal. I began by gathering indisputable evidence. I found text messages, photos, and even an email thread between Sarah and Daniel that detailed their secret meetings and plans. Every piece of evidence confirmed what I had seen that morning, but I knew that evidence alone wouldn't be enough to shake the foundations of their treacherous alliance. I needed to strike at the heart of their deceit, to dismantle the facade of the perfect family they were trying to present to the world. One chilly evening, I arranged a meeting with Sarah. I requested that she meet me at a secluded cafe, somewhere neutral, somewhere she wouldn't feel cornered by the memories of our shared past. When she arrived, her eyes were red and swollen, as if she'd been crying for days. There was a hesitance in her step, a vulnerability that I had once cherished, but that vulnerability was now a reminder of her betrayal. I laid out the evidence before her, each piece a dagger to the remnants of trust we once shared. "I know everything," I said flatly, my voice devoid of any emotion but thick with hurt and bitterness. "The texts, the emails, the photos, there's no escaping what you've done." Sarah's face crumbled as she attempted to justify her actions, her voice trembling as she spoke of loneliness, of a need for passion, of a moment of weakness, but no excuse would ever be enough. Her justifications fell on deaf ears, and as she pleaded, I felt no pity, only a cold satisfaction that justice, in my own way, was beginning to take form. My next move was as calculated as it was ruthless. I knew that the public was about to learn of their secret marriage, and the ensuing scandal would be enough to ruin them socially and emotionally. I had friends in the media, people who owed me favors for past interventions. I reached out to them and handed over the evidence. It wasn't a matter of personal vindication anymore. It was a crusade to dismantle a lie. Within days, headlines screamed about the shocking union between a trusted fiancé and a brother. The story was everywhere. Online forums, local newspapers, social media feeds. The betrayal was laid bare for everyone to see, and Daniel and Sarah's carefully constructed lives began to unravel in public humiliation. Watching the media frenzy was a surreal experience. I wasn't reveling in their pain as much as I was reclaiming my narrative. Every article, every social media post that exposed their deceit was a step toward freeing myself from the chains of betrayal. And yet, amid the chaos, I received a call from my parents. Their voices were a mix of regret and expectation, reminding me that now I was expected to support Sarah and her unborn child. Their words were an affront, a twisted reminder that family obligations still held me captive. But I wasn't about to let them rewrite the rules. I made it clear that my support would only come with one condition: that Sarah and Daniel face the consequences of their actions, not just in the public eye, but in every aspect of their lives. My revenge wasn't just a one-time explosive act, it was a calculated dismantling of every part of their existence. I exposed their financial misdeeds, their secret lies, and the network of deceit that had supported their double life. I made sure that every business deal Daniel had was scrutinized, every investment questioned. I unearthed the truth behind Sarah's fabricated innocence, revealing her complicity in the deception. The public, already outraged by the scandal, was quick to condemn them, and soon both their reputations lay in ruins. The pinnacle of my retribution came on a cold winter night, 2 months after the betrayal had become public. I invited Daniel to meet in a quiet, abandoned warehouse, a place that held memories of our childhood adventures. I knew it was the perfect setting for a final confrontation, a place where the past could no longer mask the present. As he arrived, his eyes darted around, wary of the shadows. I could see the panic rising in him, the realization that he had cornered himself in a trap of his own making. "Why did you do it, Daniel?" I demanded, my voice echoing off the cold concrete walls. "Did you think betraying your own brother was worth destroying everything we ever had?" He tried to speak, his words stumbling out in a jumble of half-truths and regret. But I wasn't interested in his apologies or excuses. I had spent weeks preparing for this moment, and my plan was far from over. I had arranged for a private investigator, someone who had been tracking his every move, to reveal details of his other misdeeds far beyond his affair with Sarah. With every revelation, Daniel's facade crumbled further. His threats and desperate attempts to justify himself fell on deaf ears as I laid bare every instance of his corruption, his manipulation, his utter betrayal of family trust. In that moment, I realized that revenge was not about tearing someone down to feel better about myself. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my identity, and my future. I refused to let their sins define me. I would not be the scapegoat or the martyr in their tragic narrative. Instead, I would build a new life from the ashes of their deceit, a life free of the chains of betrayal, a life where I could finally breathe without the weight of their treachery suffocating me. After the confrontation, I made sure that Daniel faced not only the court of public opinion, but also the consequences of his actions in the legal arena. I testified against him, presenting all the evidence I had gathered, ensuring that justice, however bittersweet, was served. The trial was a blur of courtroom drama, public outrage, and bitter satisfaction. As Daniel sat there, stripped of every pretense of innocence, I felt a surge of vindication. The scales of justice had finally tipped in my favor, and the pain he inflicted on me and those around us was finally being repaid. In the aftermath, Sarah was left alone, abandoned by the man she once trusted. Daniel had vanished into the background, a shadow of the brother I once admired. My parents, though still expecting my support, began to see the ripple effects of their misguided loyalty. They realize too late that family bonds, when tainted by betrayal, become nothing more than chains. Yet, even in their regret, I found no room for forgiveness. The wounds ran too deep, the scars too vivid. I had learned that some betrayals are unforgivable, and some lies demand a price that can never be repaid. Now, as I sit alone in my quiet apartment, far from the wreckage of our former lives, I reflect on everything that has transpired. The pain, the anger, the satisfaction of revenge, it all melds together into a single truth. Trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. I have chosen to walk away from a past that no longer holds any meaning, forging a path that is solely my own. I have built new walls around my heart, determined never to let anyone in who might shatter it again. Every day, I remind myself that revenge isn't about becoming a monster. It's about reclaiming your humanity after it has been ravaged by betrayal. I carry no grudges for the sake of bitterness. I carry them because I deserve to see that those who wronged me face the consequences of their actions. The fire of vengeance has burned away any remnants of naive trust, leaving only the steely resolve of someone who has learned that loyalty, when betrayed, must be replaced with vigilance and self-respect. Looking back, I sometimes wonder if I could have handled things differently. Could I have forgiven, moved on, and rebuilt the bonds of family? But the memory of that fateful morning, the shock in my eyes as I witnessed the ultimate betrayal, tells me that forgiveness was never an option. I saw too clearly the depths of deception and the ruthlessness of betrayal to ever allow myself to be vulnerable again. The cost was simply too high. In the end, my story is not one of heartbreak, but of reclamation. I took the ashes of my shattered trust and forged a new identity, one built on the hard lessons of betrayal and the ironclad promise of self-preservation. My revenge was not a moment of uncontrolled rage. It was a deliberate, well-calculated act that restored my dignity and set the record straight. Daniel and Sarah's lives became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the closest bonds can be broken when trust is misused, and that betrayal comes with a price that can never be repaid. As I move forward, the ghosts of that betrayal will always linger in the recesses of my mind. They serve as a stark reminder of what happens when you allow deception to infiltrate the core of your existence. Yet, I no longer dwell in the past. I have learned to live with the consequences, to embrace the solitude that comes from knowing that I am now the master of my own fate. I have no illusions of reconciliation or repair. There is no forgiveness here, only the relentless pursuit of a future defined by strength and unwavering self-respect. To anyone who has ever been betrayed by those they held dear, know this: the path to recovery is paved with hard choices, bitter truths, and, sometimes, the need for revenge. But remember, revenge isn't about descending into darkness. It's about emerging from it, scarred but unbowed, ready to build a life that stands as a testament to your resilience. I have chosen my path, and while the scars may remain, they are a constant reminder that I survived what many would have crumbled under. I survived, and in doing so, I reclaimed my power. This is my truth, a story of betrayal, unforgivable deceit, and the unyielding resolve to rise above the ashes. I carry forward not the pain of the past, but the lessons it taught me, that trust, once shattered, cannot be rebuilt, that revenge is sometimes the only way to find closure, and that, above all, you must never allow yourself to be diminished by the actions of others. My story is over, but my life continues, a life defined by strength, determination, and the unwavering promise that I will never again be betrayed by those I once called family. It's been a long road from that harrowing morning when I discovered the truth. Every step I took since has been a step away from the person I once was, a naive, trusting soul, and towards someone who commands respect through the sheer force of their will. And while the bitterness of betrayal will forever be etched into my heart, it has also become the cornerstone of my identity. I am no longer the victim. I am the one who took back control, who made sure that every act of betrayal was answered with a justice that could not be ignored. I now live in a quiet apartment, far removed from the chaos of that scandal. In solitude, I find clarity and a sense of purpose that I never knew existed. My friends, those few who remained loyal despite the storm, remind me daily that true strength is born from adversity. They see the changes in me, not as a cold-hearted person seeking revenge, but as someone who has been forced to grow up, to face the harsh truths of life head-on. In their eyes, I see admiration, and in my own, I see the unwavering resolve to never be deceived again. So here I am, a man reborn from the wreckage of betrayal, a man who now stands alone but unbroken. Every morning, I wake with a fierce determination to honor my own worth, to never let the ghosts of the past rob me of my future. I have learned that forgiveness in the face of such treachery is a luxury I can no longer afford. Instead, I choose to remember, to learn, and to grow, carrying with me the scars of betrayal as a reminder of the strength it takes to overcome it all. This is my confession, a story of love lost, trust betrayed, and the relentless pursuit of justice. I share it not out of a desire for sympathy, but as a testament to the fact that sometimes the only way to reclaim your life is to face the darkness head-on and emerge victorious. I have no regrets, only the hardened knowledge that my choices were necessary, that my revenge was inevitable, and that in the end, I remain the one who calls the shots in my own life. I write this now to remind myself and anyone who reads these words that no matter how deep the betrayal, no matter how scarring the wound, you have the power to rise above it. You have the power to forge your own destiny, even if it means leaving behind those you once loved. And while the scars of betrayal may never fully fade, they can serve as a constant reminder that you are capable of surviving the worst life can throw at you. This is the truth of my life, a narrative of pain, fury, and the ultimate act of reclaiming what was stolen from me. I have walked through the fire of betrayal and emerged with a hardened resolve, a resolve that will ensure that neither I nor anyone else ever suffers such a betrayal again. I have built my life on the unyielding foundation of self-respect and the uncompromising belief that betrayal should be met with consequences that resonate far beyond the moment of infliction. I stand today as a testament to the idea that even when your world is torn apart, you can rebuild it stronger than before. I have embraced the solitude that comes from having no one left to trust, and in that solitude, I have found a quiet, unbreakable strength. This is my story, my truth, a story of betrayal that ended not in forgiveness, but in a reckoning that forever altered the course of my life. And as I move forward, I carry with me the lessons of the past, a past that will forever remind me that trust is fragile, but the will to survive is invincible. I never sought revenge for its own sake. I sought justice, a justice that would ensure that my pain, my betrayal, would not be in vain. And as I look back on those dark days, I see them as the crucible that forged the person I am today, resilient, unyielding, and unwilling to ever allow myself to be betrayed again. My story is one of survival, of reclaiming every piece of my shattered life, and of rising from the ashes of deceit to create a future that is entirely my own. This is not a story of forgiveness, nor is it a tale of redemption for those who wronged me. It is a story of raw, unfiltered truth, a truth that I carry with me every single day. I have learned that some betrayals demand a price that cannot be repaid, and that the only way to truly heal is to ensure that the ones who caused the hurt are left to face the consequences of their actions. And so, I move forward with my head held high, a constant reminder to myself that I am stronger than any betrayal, and that I will never again allow anyone to shatter the fragile trust I have rebuilt. I share this tale not to seek pity, but to remind anyone who has ever been betrayed that you are not alone, and that you have the power to take back control of your own narrative. In a world where loyalty is often taken for granted, I stand as proof that sometimes the only way to mend a broken heart is to let the flames of vengeance purify the remnants of what once was. This is my journey, a journey from betrayal to reclaiming my rightful place in my own life, a journey that has taught me the bitter lesson that trust, once broken, must be replaced with the relentless pursuit of justice. And while I know that the ghosts of that terrible morning will always haunt me, I also know that they serve as a powerful reminder of the strength it takes to overcome betrayal and build a future defined solely by the choices you make for yourself. I am done forgiving. I am done pretending that the bonds of family can survive without absolute honesty and loyalty. I stand here, a man forged in the crucible of betrayal, unwavering in my commitment to never let anyone take advantage of my trust again. I have carved out a path that is mine and mine alone, a path free of the lies and deceptions that once threatened to destroy me. This is the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, a new chapter written by my own hands, free from the shackles of betrayal, defined by the strength to never bow down again. And as I continue to walk this path, I will never forget the lessons of the past, even as I build a future that is entirely my own. I hope that anyone who reads this understands that the scars of betrayal, no matter how deep, are a reminder of the power we hold within ourselves to overcome the darkness. I have taken back what was rightfully mine, my life, my dignity, and my future. And in doing so, I have proven that even the deepest wounds can give rise to a strength that is unbreakable. This is my truth, unfiltered and unapologetic. A truth that I carry with me every day as a reminder that the only justice worth seeking is the one that sets you free. I will never forgive those who betrayed me, for in forgiveness there is no reckoning, and in reckoning there is the promise of a future built on truth. I have spoken, I have acted, and I have reclaimed my life piece by piece with every calculated step of my revenge. And so I close this chapter with a final thought. Betrayal may have scarred my soul, but it also ignited a fire within me that will never be extinguished. I am stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to live life on my own terms, unburdened by the lies of those who once called themselves family. This is not just my story. It is a warning, a declaration, and above all, a promise that I will never again allow betrayal to dictate the course of my destiny.